Hey, welcome back. We are here at reInvent 2024 at GenAI Live, and we are really happy to have you back with us today. My name is Danielle Greshock. I am the Worldwide Partner Solution Architecture Director for Technology Partners.
Awesome, and my name is Marie Carlton, still the same Marie Carlton for the last hour here or so. I lead our Worldwide Partner Core Tech team, and I'm happy to be joined by Ryan from Mission today. So Ryan, tell us a little bit about yourself and then a little bit about Mission Cloud.
Awesome, thanks for having me. Mission Cloud is one of AWS's premier partners. We've been in the ecosystem for over 7 years. I myself have been in the ecosystem longer than that. At Mission, we had been doing NLP for a really long time, and then the whole GenAI craze came about, and we were like, cool, we've got all these cool GenAI use cases, right? We did stuff back with somebody we don't like to talk to about dash 2 of their models and BERT and everything else, and so we've been helping customers over the last 18 plus months building out 60 plus solutions. It's been really awesome. We've done tons of cool stuff in Mission. As a premier partner, we have all 3 phases. We do cost ops and resell, then we do 24/7 support, and then we have professional services. So we build out things. So my team's in professional services where we're just building cool stuff for customers, and that's what we do all day long. I was talking to one of the people that work for me with a customer a little bit ago, and it was kind of funny. I'm like, I go make a bunch of promises that GenAI can do something, and they actually make it real. So.
Oh, awesome.
It's an amazing team.
Yeah, well, why don't you tell us a little bit today? You talked about some generative AI applications that your team is building, so why don't you talk to us about some of those GenAI applications? Are they NLP tools? Are they, business intelligence? What have you done?
Yeah, so GenAI is really split into a lot of different pieces, right? So you have the Gen BI piece where you have a bunch of data and you have people wanting to ask questions to it, right? And you have different tools out there. We do a lot of QuickSight Q, which has the NLP built in, which is an awesome tool, but sometimes people want to ask chain of thought questions to it. And so you aren't really able to do that right now in QuickSight. It'll be there over the next year but people will build out tools, with Claude or other things. And as you're there, especially with Claude, you can ask it to write SQL queries, right? So it's really fun because you can sit there and tell it, hey, I want to pull this data and then I want it in a pie chart, right? And so you can have the model write the SQL query as well as like matplotlib commands so that it can then display it in like a Streamlit app, right? Because when you're doing internal stuff, it's really cool to just use Python and make things really simple. And then on the other side with GenAI, we're seeing tons of use cases. One of our major ones is all around IDP and summarization, right? This kind of falls into every class. You see it in the financial sector and healthcare, in entertainment. Everyone's kind of looking at, hey, I've just got too many documents, right? Everyone's making more and more documents every day, and it's how do I take all of that information, condense it to a form that somebody can actually use and work with? And so that's been a really big thing for us is just building out cool IDP solutions that we make chatbots, but I
was going to say, is there one particular customer use case that you want to talk about that kind of shows how that you bring that GenAI promise to life?
Yeah, so there's this really cool customer we work with called Paynella that we have a public reference with that's coming out around reInvent. It's super cool.
Great.
They work with patients who need access to special medication.
Okay.
And so the GenAI is helping them read and figure out, hey, what does this patient need? What help do they need? And then help them through the process of actually getting that medication.
Okay, so is it helping them get the medication, or is it helping them actually adhere to what they need to do to take it every day?
It's helping them get the medication, right?
Okay.
So all the processes you have to jump through, right?
Speeding up all of that.
Yeah, speeding up all the paperwork, right?
Okay,
Getting
nice.
you to get access to that actual medication because their specialty, they can often be really difficult to
acquire. Okay, so again, how generative AI is actually making these amazing outcomes for people, changing their life. So that's great. A lot of us we know pretty deeply as we've been watching the generative AI revolution over the last, 24 months about how data is so critical. So do you want to talk a little bit about data preparation and how you do that with customers?
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting when you look at GenAI. You've got a ton of data that goes into training the models, right? And so that's one area where you can help customers figure out what's my training data set, how am I going to retrain. Then you also have, okay, now I've built something, what am I really doing with that? And so the Gen BI case that we talked about, that becomes really critical to work on your data, because if I have a database and there's a lot of lazy data engineers that might have just named it. Like,
there aren't any of those, are there?
Those do not exist.
Do not exist.
just a few, right? Like site 1, 2, 3. And so when you come in and you're like, hey, tell me about my bank at this location, and that location's really site 2, the algorithm comes back and is like, I don't know what you're talking about, right? So there's definitely, when you're doing the Gen BI, hey, I've got to go back and look at my schemas, right? Did I do a good job with my schema? Do I have enough data there? Do I need to make new tables, right? So there's definitely a lot of data engineering on that aspect. And then when you look at the Gen AI side, it depends on what you're doing. So we've got customers that are doing content localization, and so it becomes, hey, I'm going to get videos that are coming in, and I'm going to dub those into another language. And so there's a whole pipeline that you have to set up that's like, okay, how am I going to process this video? You know, it's like, am I going to do it batch? Am I going to do it streaming? And so there's all kinds of setups you have to do. And then once you have it, you take a file, you have to break it up into a bunch of pieces, and so you have to treat all those pieces, because at the end, you have to put them all back together. So you really have a lot of
right,
data
but that
engineering.
use case right there that you just mentioned is it used to be a very labor-intensive manual process, right? And so these technologies are making that so much more streamlined and easy, right?
100%. And not just that, they were super costly, right?
Yeah, super costly, right?
You would have, it would be like $19 for the solution they had, and the one we built for them cost them about $1 per minute. So instead of $19 per minute, it's, you know.
Wow, that is amazing, actually.
Yeah, it's crazy. And so before they were thinking, hey, we can only do some fraction of our library to one language, and now they're like, wow, we can do our whole library in multiple languages because of this. So it's pretty awesome.
No, that's amazing. And so you talked about kind of how companies are coming in and they're using Gen AI in a different way, or being able to speed up their processes. What are some of the pitfalls they should avoid when thinking about their data strategy? Because that's the most important thing. We have maybe have some lazy data engineers, but we also have people that don't maybe know how they're supposed to enter information or help with that process.
Yeah, I think one of the pitfalls is people think Gen AI can just do everything, right? They've just been convinced, hey, Gen AI will just do anything I want. I just throw some stuff at it and it works. And so some of the biggest use cases, let's just take like an HR use case, right? Where they want to create an HR bot to tell you about policies. And so if you don't keep a really clean FAQ page, basically that's your RAG backend, or put it in, you know, a vector store. If it's just out there on S3 in a bucket and somebody has just made 15 copies of that document, then the LLM doesn't know, like when it grabs the data, which one. So it could grab a different one every time, and you might get a different answer.
Oh gosh, yeah. Well, I mean, it used to say when it would come to like just even regular advanced analytics or reporting, it'd be like garbage in, garbage out. I mean, if you don't have good data, you're not going to get good insights, right? Same thing.
Yeah, exactly. 100% garbage in, garbage out is absolutely applicable today. And in some ways, it's even worse because people think, hey, this can do anything and everything.
Yeah, no, it's really important. So one of the things that we didn't talk about at the beginning, but obviously this is all in partnership with Mission Cloud and AWS. So how has that transformation into the Gen AI space with AWS, how has that been? How has that worked? What are you doing? What are you using?
Yeah, the AWS partnership is great. You know, we're an all-in partner. We only do AWS work, and because we had such a large background of NLP work, we were actually the first SI partner to get Bedrock access. So we
nice.
Yeah, so it was pretty awesome. So we've been building on Bedrock since like last June on a bunch of customers. And we've really got close connections to the Bedrock team. So as they're building agents, we've been doing a couple of projects with Bedrock agents. So we've been integrated closely with their team, really working on the agentic system to make it work. So it's been, it's a really close partnership between the two sides. And so it's awesome because we run into something and we're like, hey, whoever on that team, we broke it again. Can you do this? Can
and
you
that's the key thing that we love from both our customers, but mostly our partners as well, because they are the ones who are pushing the boundaries for our services and, telling us ways in which they are using the services that we did not expect, right? So, awesome.
Yeah, we do quite a bit of pushing the envelope and breaking things.
It's good. It makes it better. It makes a better product for our customers if you're breaking it before it gets to them, right?
Yeah. And I think back to the pitfalls, something I often talk about on the pitfalls is people are so ingrained with Google that they've become really lazy when they go to try to prompt, right? Because in Google, it's like I type, 1 or 2 words, and in the top 5 answers, it's going to basically be what I want, right? And so you still see that with prompting, where people are like trying to write the shortest possible prompt and think it's going to give you a good answer. And so that's the other piece, right? Is that it feels like it's a language almost, right? That your prompting is almost like writing Python code at the end of the day, where you really have to think through it. You have to, kind of storyboard it out of what I'm doing and go through all those pieces. And I don't think people are spending enough effort on that, right? They're really just sitting there, throwing stuff into the system and, in sense, crossing your fingers that it's something good.
Have you seen any customers abandoning sort of POCs because of this problem, because they just had expectations that didn't match up with either their data foundation or, their expectations on how to prompt?
I think what we've seen when they get to us is they've kind of, they understand, hey, this technology could really do something.
Yeah.
And they realize their limitations of, I don't have the expertise to do this, that it's harder than I thought it was. And so then they're bringing in a partner like Mission to come in and actually build this into, something that's more production. They like see the value. They might have done a small POC, and then it's like, okay, now we need serious help.
So they tried it themselves, didn't necessarily work out, got some expertise in, and then could actually see how it would make, be useful for their enterprise outcomes, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah. So you gave us a really good use case, obviously, I don't quote me, saving the world, right? Like, how do we get medicine to people faster and really reduce that laborious process? What are some of your other favorite use cases that you've had with customers leveraging generative AI?
Yeah, I mean, we've done so much, it's crazy. So, like I said, content localization, super interesting. We do it in videos. We've done it some in just people looking at marketing materials and all that. So it's really interesting because most of us have done a really bad job with the English language. And so one of the first steps is an English to English translation before you can even do anything else.
You have to filter all the slang out there. Yeah.
All the slang, all the idioms, everything, right? It's just all that has to go. And then, it's really a complex process to get to the end. Then IDP, right? We've seen really cool use cases, not just the one we talked about, but other healthcare companies. So often when somebody's released from the hospital, they may have to go to secondary care, right? Or they may need home health.
Yeah.
And so there's companies out there that are doing that. And so we were working with one that was trying to figure out, okay, you gave me a big stack of documents. Can I take this patient? Because it's a laborious process, right? Like, hey, I've got all of this information. Can I manage their care?
So it's matching up their current staffing with the patient's conditions and seeing if there's a match there.
But it's not just that, it's also equipment, right? Like,
okay.
Is this person ambulatory?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because if they're not ambulatory, does your facility, can you manage that person? Or they might be on oxygen and you don't have any more oxygen rooms, right? So it's really critical for them to understand, can I manage them? So it's
staffing, equipment, all those types of capabilities of the center, et cetera.
Yeah, exactly. And then we were doing it with a PE firm where we were working with them to try to find the needle in the haystack, right? So any problem essentially where people are just trying to hire more and more bodies, you have to look at, can I do this with automation? And that's, the PE firm thing is, hey, one person can look at 100 companies, but can I then take and build a system that acts as an agent and then whittles that down to just the 100 companies and then
so it's
maybe
the 100
even smaller.
best options of companies to look at, really.
Right.
So.
And so you're really finding that needle in the haystack.
Yeah.
And then we were doing interesting things in the legal space where, like, class action lawsuits, right? Does this person fall within the class? And so a lot of times what people would do is they would take the documents, use something like TextTract and send it to the Philippines or other English-speaking nations that would then look at it and write Excel sheets. And so you had all this back and forth and human in the loop. And so we automated, those processes as well for some companies. So it's really, really interesting, all the IDP things you can do.
Yeah, and healthcare, legal, they are so document heavy, so that you can see so much opportunity in those spaces for that automation.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And then chatbots are you can make really basic chatbots or you can make super advanced chatbots. So we have a customer that manages stores and malls. And so much like your house, if, the bathroom, the toilet doesn't work, you have to call a plumber, costs you like $250 for the plumber to come out. And if he just had to jiggle the handle, it still costs you $250, right?
Yeah.
And so at the mall, right, you've got, teenagers, you've got, college students running stores, managing stores. And so it becomes, they just want to call and get a problem fixed. And so we wrote this chatbot that was very specific, right? You really work through the prompt where it's like, okay, here's the things that a person, that has never really fixed anything.
That can try.
Has no
That's
tools,
amazing.
can try. So
I should have my daughter my 12-year-old be your beta tester. Continue, sorry.
I'm sure she, hopefully can do it. But, it came back with things like on the toilet, like, is the handle stuck, right? And then it was like, turn the water on in the sink. Is there water in the bathroom?
Because so a little diagnosis.
Right. If there's no water in the bathroom, then that's the building's problem and not their problem.
Yeah.
So.
No, totally. Well, and even I think the win in that as well is I don't think, or I'm talking for myself, I don't want to call up someone, right? I want it to be fixed. And so then it gives
you can
these
solve it
folks,
yourself.
An opportunity to solve it so they don't have to call a real person.
Yeah, so it's pretty fun. So you can do all kinds of advanced things that, if you think about it, you can do it.
Yeah.
And then we've done a ton of image generation stuff. So that's always fun. That's always one of my favorites is what all can I randomly try to create.
Yeah, you have a vision in your mind and then create an image out of that.
Yeah, so I think it was April, we were on one of the events with AWS in our customer mix book talking about doing that. And one of the big things there was like, they're a printed book, right?
Yep.
And so it takes a long time. And so we were looking at, hey, you upload your pictures and then it creates all of the captions, right? So it was just a really fun product at the end of the day where, it helps save time so that customers can make that.
Yeah, well, and quick plug, there is the AWS AI art installation. Also, you can go check that out. And they actually have a Vend AI thing where you can, again, make an image of anything in your mind, and it's pretty cool. So yeah, just AI for fun also. Saving the world, but also for some fun.
Well, and the captioning images, going back to there, it's more inclusive, right?
Yeah.
Not everyone will get to see the same colors and all the things or maybe see what it is. And so it makes it more accessible for more people, which is amazing.
Yeah, and I mean, it was interesting because you had to think about how to deal with the temperature because you want a caption to be interesting, but not too interesting that it becomes offensive.
Yeah.
Or if it becomes a paragraph, that too.
Yeah, there's definitely shortening that you need because, there's the story elements, right, in your scrapbook, but then there's all the picture captions.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
So it was pretty fun.
Well, we're running out on time here, so I want to hand it over to you so you can talk to our audience and just share a little bit about what you want them to walk away from, if they're interested in anything they heard, where they can go, and anything exciting that's coming up that they can look forward to from Mission Cloud.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you see, at Mission, we've done 60 plus GenAI apps. I like to think of us as probably one of the best shops in the partner network. So if you're looking to do GenAI, we've probably done it. So happy to work with you and talk about it. Tons of use cases on our website that you can review or other events we've done with AWS and our customers. Upcoming things, we do have an upcoming webinar on our IDP plus summarization solution, and that will be coming out on the marketplace pretty soon as well. So if you're really trying to do IDP, we can help you guys with that solution. And then, anything else, we're here for you guys, and if you're interested.
Yeah, I love the marketplace plug at the end. That's something I don't think we do a good enough job of here.
We didn't talk about it enough, but
so easy to get started. So yeah, that's definitely awesome. Well, thank you for tuning in. We're not done yet. We have a wrap up. We have a couple special guests. We're going to talk a little bit about what we're doing within the partner network and GenAI. So stay tuned, and we'll see you soon.